Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and I am so grateful and excited to have today as my guest, Misty Tripoli. I think we're in for a real treat today. Misty is one of the world's most innovative fitness instructors, dance choreographers, and personal trainers. Her Body Groove DVDs were voted most creative workout by Shape Magazine. Misty Tripoli is the International Instructor of the Year, co-founder and creator of the Groove Method, and has spent the last 5 years as a Nike-endorsed elite athlete traveling the globe, teaching and inspiring positive global change through movement, music, and truth. With over 25 years of experience, Misty has become well known for her revolutionary and simple approach to dance and wellness that ripen the mind-body connection and explode with her passion for self-discovery, creative movement, and self-expression. Misty has been touted as one of the most innovative, controversial, and influential instructors of our time. She uses her passion and creativity to inspire people to move their bodies in ways they never thought possible. Always in demand, Misty travels around the world lecturing on meditation and body image, training instructors, and inspiring people to dance. Her passion, creativity, and energetic personality are an inspiration to watch. Misty's unique ability to create and translate a message through body movement and language is truly unparalleled. Many students report Misty's classes to be a life-changing experience. Everyone has a unique groove. Misty helps you to find it. So, Misty, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and we have so much ground to cover. First of all, I wanted to ask you if you could explain to our listeners what exactly is the Groove Method, and how did you come about in creating that, co-creating it?
Well, the Groove Method is exactly what it's called. I couldn't think of a better name other than what my body was doing when I was doing it, which was I was getting my groove on. And literally, and when I discovered the methodology and this way, I was basically, like I said, just getting my groove on. And when someone said, "What is it that you would call this?" That's the only thing I could think of. I'm like, "I'm grooving." And then I realized there was a methodology behind it, and I could teach other people how to do it. And so that's how it actually turned into a methodology. But it really came about. I would say I didn't create it. I think it came through me more or less because it was too perfect, too clear, too precise, and too I would say easy. And I believe it's because I was in the right place at the right time as far as mentally, emotionally, and I needed it. There was I've been a dancer my whole life, and the problem was that I always dealt with body image issues. I always hated my body and was never good enough, and I always punished myself mentally and emotionally because I was never satisfied with my physical structure, and I never gave myself permission to actually call myself a dancer because I didn't have the formal training and I didn't have the body type, and so I just knew that in my heart I loved dance, but I didn't give myself that permission. And then I would say about 6 or 7 years ago, when this all came about, I was in the midst of a serious eating disorder. I was severely bulimic, and I started to meditate. I don't know why I started to meditate, but something inside of me said, "Sit down, close your eyes, and go inside." And I can't say it was a voice. I can just say it was just something inside of me that's just basically, "You're going to do this." And it started very slowly, and then I knew how much I loved to dance, and when I danced, it always made me joyful in whatever way I danced, and I was pretty naturally good at it, but there was just something about music and moving to music that just brought me a lot of joy. And when you're bulimic and you don't like your body, and you're living your life to impress other people, and you're never good enough, and life is kind of a dark and not so pleasant experience. And
yes.
and I asked myself these questions, like, is this as good as it gets? And through meditation and all of this stuff, the truth just started to rise to the surface, that no one actually did care what I looked like, and that I was wasting my life, on all of these things that didn't matter, and I was worried about things that weren't important. And then one day I just got my iPod and I filled it with music, and I went to the gym, and it was a pretty private studio. I was by myself, and it was the first time in my life I just put music on and allowed myself to do whatever the music wanted me to do, and just let myself actually look crazy and be I probably look like an absolute mad woman, rolling around on the floor and climbing the walls, and I felt stupid all by myself. Even though no one was in the room, I still felt stupid. But something in me felt so liberated and free that I was just like, I couldn't stop doing it. So I would go to the gym every day with my iPod and let myself dance like a crazy woman. And then I started to find that I found in each song I would find these amazing patterns of movement or rhythm that were so delicious to get lost in that it was like the groove. It was like I was getting into the groove. And it was very simple. It wasn't complicated movements at all. It could be walking to the music, but I would walk to the style and the feel of the music, and then I could teach my students it, and it just evolved and evolved. And then I started teaching it at conferences, and Nike saw me, and Nike was like, oh, my God, we love this. And then they sponsored me, and it just blew up. Like, that's why I know it just came through me, and it was at the right time, because it can't fail. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyone that does it instantly they love it. They just are like, wow, why haven't we been doing this from the beginning?
Oh, my gosh.
We actually have been. We danced as tribes for thousands of years. We danced in communities and together, and we've created this environment where we're so separate. And you even go to a gym, and you go to your little spot on the floor, and you have your little thing, and you don't really get to know the people that are in the room. And the groove method brings it all back to community, and it brings it all back to authenticity and individuality, and yet at the same time, through community, there's also unity, which is what is so critical for the survival of any community or species, is we have to have some form of unity.
Absolutely. And Misty, I can't thank you enough for being so honest and sharing your story. And there's so many points to touch upon here. First of all, I couldn't agree more. We do need to unite, and I can't think of a better way to do it, through dance and music and rhythm and sort of like the elemental. I love the way you described the delicious movement, and sort of it's like so, and yet it's so simple, and yet it came through you, as you said. I love the way you described the fact that you heard this voice telling you to meditate. I just find that fascinating, because I had kind of a similar experience, but I think it's so interesting when you have that, just something else takes hold, and it sort of you just have to sort of surrender to the bigger picture. And first of all, I just want to, I know that you were mentioning this on your website, bodygroove.com, that this is a way that you're able to. I've known you for a long time, at least way back when, and I personally, I think, to me, you're one of the most beautiful women in the world. But you're also, you are the best choreographer and the best dancer I'm completely serious. So it's so funny how we don't see ourselves. Well, it's the truth, and. So it's just so interesting how, that's one of the reasons why we need each other, isn't it, to reflect back what we can't see in ourselves. That's a huge part of it. But you were mentioning on your website, you just had a new DVD come out. It's called Body Groove Delicious Dance. And weren't you kind of talking about how in your story that this is how your body found its natural shape? Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it wasn't because being in the fitness industry, like I said, like you've known me way back in high school when I danced then, and the moment I left high school, I went into fitness and was teaching step and high-low and kickboxing and spinning, and I've taught every modality of physical fitness that there is, and I was naturally pretty good at it, but I realized I was really abusing my body, and I was trying to pummel it into submission to be thin and fit and look good, and I would do activities, and I wouldn't be satisfied unless I was sore, and I kicked my own ass, and I was just like, I got to, work myself to the core, and I got to do all these things, and then I would catch on to the thing that was popular at the time, whatever it was, whether it was Pilates or kickboxing or Tai Bo or whatever it was, I just clung to it, thinking that was going to be the answer for me to get my body the way that I wanted it to, and the moment I let all of that go and I stopped trying, I literally, people are like, what have you done? Because my body has completely transformed, and I'm like, I do less. I do so much less. And what I do is so embodied with presence and intention that I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to hurt myself. And in fact, that's one of my greatest things that I teach my students is you only have one body in this lifetime. You might want to make it feel as good as you possibly can while you're here, because anyone that's had any physical pain knows that it steals the joy out of your life. And
absolutely.
You can't do what you want to do if you're in pain, and it overshadows a lot of the positive in your life when you deal with physical pain. And so a lot of what I do behind the groove is every movement that you make should be therapeutic. It should restore your body. It should heal your body. It should feel good. You should feel vibrant and healthy, even more so after you've grooved than before you've grooved. And to me, grooving is just dancing. It's another word for dancing. But that's just, and so when I did that, and I just let my body groove to music, but I had to let it. It wasn't like I'm trying to follow anyone or do whatever. So I let my body just move and get into these beautiful patterns of rhythm to music. My body just beautifully. I mean, I look in the mirror now and I'm like, oh my God, where did this beautiful body go?
Yes, and embracing and being able to, I think, isn't that part of it, especially for women, is being able to love what you see in the mirror and accept and embrace. Even I love the word embrace what you see in the mirror 100%.
And I will say that's probably, I don't care what women say. I've traveled the world, and I teach this all over the world, and it is one of the most difficult things for women to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
No matter how conscious you are, no matter how evolved you are, no matter what information you know to be true, we have to confront our physical bodies every day. We have to confront what we put in them, how we treat them, how we look at them, how we move them, how they feel. We have to accept responsibility for all of that. And unfortunately, we live in a culture and a society that wants to make us feel like we're not good enough so that we'll buy things. So everything is meant to make us compare ourselves and not measure up. And as long as you're looking outside of yourself at television, at magazines, at images that are not realistic, it's going to make you feel bad about yourself. And we have to deal with it. And we are bombarded. You cannot escape it.
Yes, and it's really interesting because I just learned something about advertising that I'd kind of forgotten about. I talk about high school. I learned this in high school, but then I forgot that advertising creates unnecessary needs. So there's real needs that we have, and then there's unnecessary needs. And I think, and part of that is this unnecessary need to be this image of perfection, of thinness, which I am just completely, at this point, I am so sick to death of it. And it's, I think it was really bad when we were growing up, and I kept thinking to myself, oh, this can't last. This trend couldn't possibly last, could it? And yet, here we are, and this is why I love your message, Misty. You were talking about earlier about embodying yourself, but with presence. Isn't it? Could you maybe expand a little bit more on by what you mean by what is presence? What does it mean to be present in your body?
It can mean many things, and you can practice it many different ways. But for me, it's being the movement. You become what you're doing, and instead of judging it. And it takes a while for people to actually do that, to stop judging what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because, if you actually let yourself dance, you're gonna feel stupid. Most people will, because if you dance authentically, I'm not talking like you just go to a nightclub and you dance. If you're dancing authentically and you're letting yourself move creatively, you're gonna feel stupid. But to let all judgments go, no matter what you're doing, even if you're in yoga and you're judging if your pose is correct or not, or whatever it might be, instead of going in and going into the complete feeling of the movement or whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't even have to be movement. It could be a conversation. To be completely present and just absorbing what the other person's saying without a filter of judgment or criticism or trying to come up with the next thing to say, to just be a vessel of feeling or listening or tuning in, and literally it becomes meditation. For me, dance is meditation and movement, because I'm totally present with what I'm doing, and I don't care what this is the thing that set me free. It's the moment, because the groove method is based off of 5 truths. And this is what gives people permission to dance. One of the first things is that no one actually cares what you look like. Nobody actually cares what you look like. And if they do, it's their problem. They have to deal with those thoughts themselves. So let that be free. Let your body be free to express how it wants to, because the fear, and I call it fear-restricted movement, is that fear will stop you and restrict you from actually allowing your body to move to its fullest capacity.
Wow.
And so when you get past the fear, that one truth right there, when I discovered that, and I discovered that deep in meditation, was that no one actually cared what I was doing or if my ass was big that day or if I had put on 5 pounds. Nobody cared. Nobody was worried about that. I was, and I would lose sleep over it. And it was this. And so when I brought that truth into my movement, oh, my God, I became completely present, because the judgment was gone. The mind stopped chattering, and I got to become the movement, and literally in every, and I can tell this to people, but the only way to get there is to practice. I can say anything I want, but practice is the key to obtaining any skill, even becoming present. You have to practice becoming present.
Absolutely, and I love the way you say that. Just because I've just been sort of introduced. I just started doing yoga. I didn't think I could ever do it because I had some sports injuries, and so I'm really excited to discover it. But there's the whole idea of practice of yoga, and I love the way that you talk about you have to practice even being present. And I love the idea of becoming the movement as opposed to. It's really true. Like, you can't be in the moment, whether you're dancing or if it's any type of, whether it's any kind of fitness routine or anything, a conversation that you're having with anyone. If you're judging, you're kind of, doesn't that kind of by default put you outside of it takes you outside of your body, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And this is why in the groove method, one of the 5 truths is also that all of these things are just a great idea until you actually practice them, and because you don't know something until you've actually practiced it. And so that's part of the truth as well. But it's in the practicing, and going back to what you just said about when you go into judgment and thought that you actually aren't in it anymore. And one thing that makes the groove so amazing is that I set it up so that you do not have to follow or look at the instructor. Because the moment you're following someone else, the moment you are trying to keep up or mimic someone else, it doesn't matter if it's in movement or anything else, you are now in comparison, you are in judgment, and you're trying to be them. You're actually, your presence is in them. It's not in yourself.
Wow.
And so in the fitness industry, I taught for so long, and all I realized is I was just teaching my students how to copy me. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because there's only one me, and they don't have my body. So why am I trying to get them to copy what my body does? That does not make logical sense. And this is what's so amazing in the fitness industry, is how really ignorant, and I say it at conferences. I will go, and that's why they call me controversial, because I put it in their face. I'm like, what are you really teaching people? You're not teaching people. You're teaching, and they're getting hurt, and the more information we know, it's irrelevant because we're just getting fatter and more out of shape. So none of that helps. The only thing that can really help people is to teach them how to go inside and be authentic and become present, so that all of the answers that they need for them, not your answers, but their answers and their authentic way that they need to figure out comes through. But most people don't ever create a space in their life for that to happen. And so in a group class, you get that opportunity because I show you, you get to look at me for about 10 seconds, and I'll show you the movement. This is how easy the movement is. You don't go freestyle. This is what is really important about, that is very clear about groove, is it's not a freestyle dance class. I coach you the whole way through. So people don't like freestyle because they're like, I don't know what to do. Of course. So you come to my class, I'll teach you what to do. So like I said, I could have a movement that's as simple as walking. So I'll have you look at me. I'm like, okay, you guys, this is how you walk. Now this is how you walk to the beat. It's 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. Then I stop moving because as long as I'm moving, they're going to want to look at me. So I just say, okay, now which way can you walk? Can you walk backwards? Can you walk sideways? Can you walk in a circle? But stay in the beat because we're unified in the rhythm. So everyone's unified in one rhythm. And then they get to stop looking at me, and they get to walk and wander around the room to the rhythm, and they get to use their arms, and they get to add their style and their personality. And before they know it, they're dancing their walk their own way. They're totally authentic. They don't have to copy or look at anyone, and they get to become present. Sometimes, for a lot of these people, for the first time in their life.
Wow.
And
this
is why it gives me the goosebumps when I say it, because so many people at the end of class will just start crying. And it's not like, it's just a workout. It's just a class. This is what's so funny. But they get that they allow themselves, whether they're 30, 40, or 50 years old, they're like, I just let myself dance for the first time in my life. Like, let myself do it my own way. I just let myself be authentic in my movement for the first time in my life. And it blows them away because they're like, sometimes they're sad because they're like, why haven't I done this before? I've wasted so many years not being authentic and not true to myself with, taking care of myself through movement. And some people are so excited that they've discovered it. They're like, oh, my God, I can dance. I didn't know I could do this. They surprise themselves because everyone can dance as long as you're not trying to follow someone else's dance. Everybody can dance.
There's so many just beautiful and amazing things that you said there. I mean, I love the idea of being unified in rhythm, and yet at the same time, out of that, people can kind of break into their own patterns within that rhythm, and that's just the beauty of what you've co-created, and it's just incredible to me. And I also think that this does revolutionize how people perceive fitness. And you're talking about taking care of yourself. I mean, really, isn't this about, because I think so many people are still so afraid of, people are trying to attempt to achieve this ridiculous thin image, which is just ridiculous at this point. But also, people are terrified of exercise for some reason still. Have you noticed that? Like, there's this whole block around exercise. Either people think they're terrified of it, or they don't want it. It doesn't feel good to them, or there's just so many blocks around moving and exercise, and I love the way that you talk about becoming the movement, and also just how it can be part of taking care of yourself and just finding yourself in that movement. And I mean, this is what I love about what you do, Misty, because this is what you've dedicated your professional life to is helping other people to experience this.
Yeah. And it's not even just experience it, it's to discover it, to give them permission that it's like
discover.
You said, fitness and has become so intimidating and so complicated and so scary that most people don't even step foot or even start because they think they're going to be in a lot of pain. They think that it's going to be hard. They think they have to have the right outfit. They think they have to be coordinated. They think they have to, like all of these things. And this is what's so funny is if you go into a gym, the gym is only less than 1% of the population. The 99.9% of the rest of the population doesn't enter ever into a gym or will never, ever step foot into anything like that because of that, because it is so terribly terrifying. Just imagine if you were 100 pounds overweight and uncoordinated. The gym is the last place you would ever want to be. You would feel so stupid because you go to the gym and everyone's in shape. Everyone's got the right outfit on. Everyone's got the right shoes on. And it makes me really sad. And so for the group, so much of what we, like I say, is one of our core values is community. Our facilitators around the world We've got about 2,000 people trained now in the method.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we have classes now all the way from Australia and China. We've got them all throughout Europe, Canada. Is
Incredible.
that we really we encourage that we have community-based classes in church basements, in people's living rooms, in parks, in anywhere where people don't have to have anything special. They can come in their jeans and their tennis shoes if they want. They can, and what's so cool is that I do grooves on the beach where I live here in Playa del Carmen. And, it's so fun. And it's community, so the families come. Like, people bring their kids. And it's just a big, fun family dance party where the parents get to dance with their kids, and it's amazing to watch. But people will walk by, and they see us dancing, and they see that they get it in about 20 seconds. They're like, oh my God, I could do that. And before you know it, there's people that just walkers by that come and just join because it's so easy to take part in it. And it's so much fun because you get to dance and you get to mingle with other people, and it's just this it's so not like a gym environment, a groove class, but that's what's important, because if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like you're trying to climb that mountain by yourself of health and wellness, and you need a community, you need other people that are going to support you. So
absolutely,
and
support.
It has to be easy. It has to be so easy.
It has
simple and easy.
Has to be simple and easy. I love the way you say that, and it has to be something that is connected with fun and pleasure and joy. Wouldn't you say? Absolutely,
and that's what dance does. I've never met anyone that when they dance not happy. So
that is,
and for me, it's a way to help change the planet, because the more people I get dancing, the happier and the positive vibrations that are sent out by people, and that's the only way that I, in my little world here that I live in, that I can help create any type of global shift in any way. It's just to create more positive vibration. If that's all I can do, and dance is an easy, beautiful way to do that.
And Misty, I think you're doing a phenomenal job that way, and I think you're influencing so many people, and I can just see that. And I would really love to delve more into, first of all, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I would love to, first of all, have you tell everyone about your Groove CDs and, DVDs and your workshops. You've got you also do, you train people in the Groove method, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have so much ground to cover. And also I'd like to talk a little bit more about the mind-body-spirit connection, since that is such a huge part of fitness and health that is sorely missing today. And so we'll be right back in just a few minutes. You're listening to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and my amazing guest today is Misty Tripoli. Misty Tripoli is one of the world's most innovative fitness instructors, dance choreographers, and personal trainers. Her Body Groove DVDs were voted Most Creative Workout by Shape Magazine. Misty Tripoli is the International Instructor of the Year, co-founder and creator of the Groove Method, and has spent the last 5 years as a Nike-endorsed elite athlete, traveling the globe, teaching and inspiring positive global change through movement, music, and truth. With over 25 years of experience, Misty has become well known for her revolutionary and simple approach to dance and wellness that ripen the mind-body connection and explode with her passion for self-discovery, creative movement, and self-expression. Misty has been touted as one of the most innovative, controversial, and influential instructors of our time. She uses her passion and creativity to inspire people to move their bodies in ways they never thought possible. Always in demand, Misty travels around the world lecturing on meditation and body image, training instructors, and inspiring people to dance. Her passion, creativity, and energetic personality are an inspiration to watch. Misty's unique ability to create and translate a message through body movement and language is truly unparalleled. Many students report Misty's classes to be a life-changing experience. Everyone has a unique groove. Misty helps you to find yours. So Misty, welcome back. And I love the idea of just grooving through life. And I just think we need so much more of that in this world. We just need an entire mindset shift here, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. But I think that's coming. I think that it's inevitable. The evolution of the mind and of consciousness is inevitable. It's just a matter of time.
And it's so great. It's so interesting the way you say evolution of the mind and consciousness. And is it possible that the evolution of our mind could come through freeing our bodies?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my. Well, that's the thing is I think that it is critical that you learn to accept the body, and it's our vessel, it's our vehicle, and most people are at war with themselves. That they it's like this whole thing. This is why I love Gandhi, change, and I realize that goes down deeper into such a personal soul cellular level, which is we all want to see peace on the planet, but yet I don't know many people that are at peace with themselves. And we can't see peace outside of ourselves until we all create peace within ourselves. And it's what does that look like to be at peace with yourself? Well, a lot of that is acceptance, and that's one of the hardest things for people to do is to accept their physical structure. I think it's easier for men. They're much more accepting of their physical bodies, but they're being bombarded now like we are. Like they're having to live up to this perfect six-pack and modeled image more and more now than ever. But like I said, we as women, we are, I meet many women that deal with a daily torment of, which is what I lived for many years. I recognize it. So when I talk to people, I recognize it. I can see it. They don't even have to say it. I can see it.
Wow.
And it brings me such sadness. And those people, again, they're locked in their bodies, and they're not joyfully using their bodies as these amazing, fun vehicles and tools to play with for this life. And if we could change that perspective to oh, my body and oh, this, instead of oh my God, I've got this amazing meat suit that has the ability to be creative and bizarre and fun, and I can make it feel good, and I can, it's like for me, groove is just another thing I do that makes my body feel good. Like you were saying before the break, how we need to, it's taking care of ourselves. And it's not just taking care of ourselves, it is loving the crap out of ourselves. I'm serious, in any way possible.
Absolutely.
And whatever that means, because every person, it looks different.
Yeah.
Absolutely different. What makes you happy and makes you feel good about yourself and what makes me happy, it's completely different. So this is why I said when you asked me if I'm a coach, not really. I try to get people to the truth so that they can find their own truth, so that they can live their life from that truth, so that the things that they're doing are the things that are making them happy.
You're kind of like a guide. You feel like a guide to me, or the Pied Piper.
The Pied Piper.
Except you're dancing. It's like and it's not follow you. It's but here let's try this new path. Let's try going down this new path. And I was, so we were going to talk about. We'll definitely get to mentioning your workshops and all of just that amazing. You have so many amazing things going on. But I was wondering. Yeah, the whole mind-body connection with fitness, mind-body-spirit connection and health and fitness, this is where there's a disconnect. And I think when you were talking about body image and accepting ourselves and literally we have to make peace with ourselves. I completely agree with you. We tend to look at the world and think there's so much that feels dysfunctional, and yet we have to focus on what's going right as well, and I think this is what I don't know how you feel about this, but what's worked for me is to accept my body and myself exactly where I am, and to have that be kind of my launching pad. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm completely with you, because where you are, and if you were meant to be somewhere else, you would be. So you can either be in resistance to that and create tension and stress and anxiety in your life, or you can go, well, this is where I'm supposed to be because this is where I is. So
here we are. Here we are. And have you noticed though that when you get in that space, that head space, that all of a sudden it does free you, and it tends to all of a sudden I felt really free whenever I operate from that place of not only that, but also being grateful. Like you said, you were talking about being grateful for our bodies. There's, is there really even such a thing as perfection? I think we get so wrapped up in this.
No.
Chasing something that's not even there.
But they've built a picture of what perfection might possibly look like, and I don't know exactly what that is. It's a fusion of many different bodies. But,
exactly.
But what is perfection for each person? It's so, it's you're perfect the way you are right now, even if you are 50 to 100 pounds overweight. That's perfect for you right now in this moment because that's where you're at.
Yep.
Like you said, accepting where you're at and going, okay, well, I'm accepting this right now, and the only person that can change it is me. And so much is accepting responsibility for your life and accepting responsibility for what you want. And if you're not where you want to be, it's your responsibility. And you have to make the changes. To me, it's not big, massive changes because it's too overwhelming. It's daily, little, tiny changes or little things you can add or take out of your life. Tiny things that aren't going to make you feel like you've just, I'm so deprived now, or that's too much work and I can't handle it. I'm a total advocate of taking the most little, tiny, minute baby steps. And some people are like, you have to do it all in one day. That's great. But for me, I'm the kind of person that if it's too overwhelming, I am not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so setting myself up to succeed and how important that is to set yourself up to succeed so that that you can build up the consistency and that compound effect that you need to create the changes in your life. So,
no, that's really brilliant. That's actually that is what coaching is actually is taking things in small steps so that you, like you said, you set yourself up to succeed. And also part of it isn't it taking care of yourself along the way, loving yourself along the way, and sort of easing into a new way of being.
Right. Well, and it's tricky when you say love yourself, and this is what I've learned so many times. Like I would hear all my life, like people would say love yourself, but it was coming out of someone's mouth that I knew didn't love themselves. And because what that, and I actually, when I looked around and opened my eyes, I didn't see anyone. I didn't even know what it looked like for someone to love themselves.
Wow.
Especially women. Like there was not one woman in my life that wasn't on a diet or beating herself up through exercise or mentally, physically, in some way. And men that weren't angry. Now, this is just my own. Some people are blessed with having, very conscious, present parents that don't suffer from those issues, but it's very rare. And so when someone would say love yourself, I'm just like, I want to slap them across the face. I'm like, you have no idea you don't know what that means. And you can't
don't
make
say
that
it
make
if you don't
sense
mean
to
it.
me.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you.
It sounds good.
Yeah. No, it sounds
good.
What? It sounds good.
It sounds good.
It sounds good,
it's
and yet
altruistic.
And yet, so isn't this where the mind-body-spirit connection comes in? Isn't that part of it though? Is how do we make that shift into loving ourselves and to realizing that health and fitness? I mean, you're the expert on this. Like, how do you explain to somebody, that experience of what it feels to be truly healthy and to truly love yourself from an authentic place?
Yeah, from an authentic, well, that's the thing, from an authentic place. For me, it all starts like with what I said before, is I would recommend that someone literally for a moment and use their faculty and their ability to use their imagination and imagine your perfect day. Imagine all the things you'd want to do on your perfect day, the things that make you light up like a Christmas tree, the things that make you lose time, the kind of foods that you eat that just bring you absolute joy, the kind of clothes that you love, just whatever it is, all the things, the conversations you like to have, the people you'd want to hang out with, the kind of work you'd want to do. Like the ultimate days, if you couldn't fail and there was no holds barred, whatever it might be, just write it out, every detail, every smell, every whatever it is. Take some time to do it. And then what you do is you just pick one thing from that whole big, huge day that you just built. And start there, because if you're willing, because a lot of people come from they don't know how to love themselves, and I didn't know how to either. I didn't know what that meant. But what I started doing was I started doing things every day that made me incredibly happy, or that made me, I don't know, just like lose time. Like I love to salsa dance. So I took myself out salsa dancing every night by myself. I didn't care if anyone was with me. I would go out by myself because it brought me so much joy. And then the second thing I did, after a couple weeks of that, then I started to buy myself flowers. I would be like, because I loved flowers, and I'd always feel bad because my boyfriend never bought them for me, and I would get upset at him because you never buy me flowers. And I was like, why am I waiting for someone else to make me happy? What is that all about? So forget that. No, I want a big, huge bouquet of flowers. You know what? I'm worth it. And that's the thing, is that most people don't value themselves, is that they're worth their own investment. Yeah. And you have to invest in yourself and be like, I am worth it, and I'm going to buy those flowers because every time I walk past them, it makes me happy. And I know the more I create that energy in my life, then things start to shift. It's like I said, that compound effect of it, doing the things like meditating, making sure that every morning I cut out an hour where there was no cell phones, no computers, no nothing, an hour of me just sitting with myself, whether it's with a book, whether it's meditating, whether it's journaling, just quiet time with me by myself to reflect and be alone. These are the things that I did personally that got me to start to really go in and appreciate this amazing, like I said, this meat suit that I get to be in, and its beautiful things and capacities that it has, and to like literally learn to appreciate it instead of abuse it, which is what I did for most of my life. And then my mind, that mind-body connection, and making sure that I did things because I knew that if I spent time every day, even if it was 5 minutes, to just sit and let my body relax and focus on just a conscious, soft breath, and then embed any quality into my body for that day, whether it's, you know, just love. I don't know, Misty, today just feel love. And even if it's just for those 5 minutes and then I walk out the door and someone pisses me off and I lose that sensation. It happens. This is the thing. It's like people that don't think they're human, it scares me. I'm human. I'm very human. And I fall backwards constantly. But because it's easy when you live in a society and you have to deal with all of the things on a day-to-day basis that, you know, can steal your joy. But learning to just, okay, whoa, I let myself react that way. That wasn't necessary. And then you start to become present. You're like, whoa, I don't like the way I feel right now. And really becoming present with that and being like, what? Whoa. Well, I wouldn't even say looking for the why, because sometimes energies just move through you. And I don't fully understand it, but I do know that sometimes I get really angry, and there's no reason for me to be angry. But I'm like, it could be hormonal or whatever it might be, and I have to sit with that and be like, okay, no one else needs to get the wrath of my anger just because I'm going through this right now, and how can I better channel or utilize this energy? And that's, for me, when you go deep into the mind-body, where you become very present with your feelings and your emotions and the sensations in your body. And when you eat food, how does it affect you? And just really starting to tune in instead of tune out. Most people tune out. They turn on the computer. They turn on the television. They read a book. They eat food. Tune out, tune out, tune out. And the moment you tune in,
tune in. Misty,
magic happens.
Magic does happen, and that, again, is just brilliant. I mean, what you almost kind of summed it up, you know, I mean, not that we need like a sound bite, but that was a really great way to sum it up. Like, it's to sort of help people get a visual, you know, instead of tuning out, tune in. And also, you know, this is something I'm really grateful that you mentioned. I know this sounds like it was incredibly difficult for you when you were talking about abusing your body, but I'm just so grateful that you have the honesty to share that with people, and just to know that so many other people have gone through that as well. And I know that they really appreciate hearing that they're not in that alone, that it's not just them, and yet to make that shift from abuse to self-care and to I'm just wondering what that experience was like for you when that shift really happened for you. I mean, you mentioned being free.
Yes.
I'm wondering what else.
Because it really is a freedom. Because when I was in it, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, I didn't know if I lost you. When I was fully bulimic, and it was a daily ritual of just literally like throwing up till I would bleed, and just like my whole life revolved around exercise and food and calories, and just this. I really did think that there was any other way. For me, I would see people that had perfect little cute bodies, and they'd be smiling, and I would be so envious because it's like I never thought that I could ever get to that point. Now, not that that was the goal. At the time, that was the goal because to me that meant happiness. If you had a perfect little body and you were cute, that meant you were going to be happy.
Okay.
And that you know you could have everything you want, kind of a thing, because they equate to each other. But as I woke up, and I love to talk about the bulimia because as I talk about it, I am blown away by how many people have disordered eating and exercise. And it's
definitely.
not just bulimia. Bulimia is just one expression of the dysfunction. The dysfunction is if you spend your day, and this is for everyone that even recognizes this within themselves, is if you see yourself obsessing about calories, if you see yourself when you eat something that you feel bad about it and you feel like you have to do something to change it, or that you're using exercise like you can't go a day or so without going to the gym or you're going to freak out, or these types of activities are stealing your time. They're stealing your life, and it's obsessive-compulsive disorder, but it expresses in many ways.
Absolutely.
So mine was just bulimia, but I know people that are calorie counters, and it's like you spend your whole day counting calories. Oh, my God. Like, really?
Yes.
That's not the way life was meant to be. If you go back to caveman and cavewoman, they'd laugh at you because they're sitting here counting calories. Are you kidding me right now? So anyway, I got to the point like when the meditation started, and it took me about a year and a half to free myself of bulimia, or before bulimia left me, where the desire like stopped, where I no longer could do that to myself. And this was what was so cool about the shift that happened is after through meditation and dance and really starting to do activities in my life that that I loved, it wasn't an overnight thing. It took a long time, but I will tell you that it was the most beautiful thing. It's like it left me, and I couldn't imagine doing it to myself ever again. And I went into apology to my body. I was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry that I didn't recognize, like, how amazing I am.
Yeah.
That I would I literally almost killed myself for the sake of trying to be thin. I had liposuction. I did everything I possibly could to alter my body. And I didn't care if I got myself cut open. I didn't care if I was bleeding. The blood was coming out of my stomach. I didn't care. That's how desperate I was for that pursuit of the unattainable image, which many women, this is what I see, many women are stuck in that cycle. Yeah. And it's an empty, very life-draining place to be, and it's not where we're meant to be. It is not where we're supposed to be living or giving our attention or time to. And so I would say the first thing that saved me was meditation. It was the ability to sit down, close my eyes, and go inside and ask myself some really, really big questions, like why? Who am I? What am I? Who am I doing this for? What brings me happiness? Like the big, big questions of life that I never asked myself. I can't believe it took me until I was 32 years old to ask myself these questions. And some people never ask themselves these questions, or hopefully they can ask themselves these questions at a younger age. But when I asked myself, what am I, my mind just went down a tunnel of truth that made me realize that this physical body is just this temporary holding unit for this amazing spirit that could barely even be contained in the meat suit that that has unlimited potential, and that I can choose in any moment who I want to be and what I want to do, and I have that ability. And just all of this came through meditation, and that's what healed me or freed me from bulimia or the eating disorder. So
that is just it's so powerful, Misty, and I'm just, again, thank you so much for being honest, because I know that this is going to help so many people, and it is just, it's just so, I think what you were talking about when you got in touch with your soul, like realize like how your soul is so big it can barely be contained in your body. And it's we're luminous beings, and we're incredible, we're magnificent, and it's sort of harnessing that energy letting that energy move through you, as opposed to, isn't it sort of what you were talking about earlier about whatever energy is passing through you, if it's maybe an angry energy, or you can just, like you said, you can let it pass through, and yet at the same time we can allow the energies that give us life, that animate us, that energize us. Isn't that really, I mean, you're really the perfect person to ask this. Like, ultimately, when we're talking about health and fitness and embodying, really getting into our bodies and freeing our bodies and our souls, is there really any better way to do that than through dance and joy and music?
I honestly don't know. For me, it's such a powerful, effective, instant way to obtain those things or to experience those things. And music is such a gift. It's a gift for the mind. It's a gift for the soul. It's a gift for the ears. It's just like, and everyone, there's no one that doesn't love music. And to be able to tune into music and allow your body to just be driven by the music instead of, trying to do something cool or whatever, you just let the music take you. You talk about raising of consciousness. It'll take you. My boyfriend and I, we call it the river, and it's the river of unlimited possibilities, where you go where the mind stops, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful river of just vast possibilities of endless. Like, you can do anything in the river. And that's how I feel when I'm dancing. I go to, if there's heaven, that's where I am at. When I'm dancing, that's where I'm at. I'm in the most beautiful, and that's why I dance every day, even in my living room. And it's not like, this hardcore dancing. Sometimes it's very mellow and chilled out and beautiful, and I just go in to get lubrication in my joints, because I always use dance as a means of really caring for my body and to keep my body strong and healthy. And there's so many things that we need to do that. So like with dance, I might just go in and just literally circle all my joints to the music and just get in and just get lubrication into my joints one day, and so that I'm recovering one day, so that the next day I can dance really hard and I can and I can really put some power into my, my movements. And because dance can also, like with the groove, it's the same way. It's not that it's this airy fairy dance program where we just we're so sweet and we just do all. No, it's not that at all. It's intense. I take you on a ride. I'm going to push you physically, mentally, because it's important that if you want a strong body, you don't have to hurt yourself or pummel yourself, but you do have to challenge yourself. You have to get your heart moving. You have to exercise the systems of the body if you want them to be healthy. Your heart-lung capacity. You've got your circulatory. All of these things are so critical. Your endocrine system. How important it is for us to keep these systems
maybe
working
flowing
at their optimal levels.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
You have to go in and move them. Like when I teach movement, another thing that we do in the groove is that we are facilitators, and we call ourselves, like when you were saying earlier that I'm a guide, I call myself a facilitator. Okay. Because that's what we do. We're facilitating a space to make it easier for other people to figure it out. So it's not about you embedding them with what you think it is. It's just facilitating a space for them to figure it out. And because everyone has their own answers, and we know this, but we facilitate a space for, when we communicate, we never use aesthetics. We'll never say, you need to sculpt up this. Like if you go into a gym, they're going to try to inspire you and motivate you by, you can get the six-pack and you can tone up those arms and you can do this. You'll never hear that in a groove class, because that just makes people feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, which is, we need no more of that going on. So
no, exactly. And so we inspire through intelligent, common sense information. So if we're doing a twisting type movement, I would give you truthful information. It's really important that you twist, because you need to lubricate your spine, and it's great also for massaging your internal organs. Now, if someone hears that, they're like, wow, that actually is true. And how important it is to get your internal organs massaged so that they're working at optimal levels. That speaks to people's intelligence, not their insecurity.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And I like to speak to their intelligence, because this is how I get people to dance in ways they've never danced before. I make it very logical. I make it very intelligent. And I make it very easy and simple for them to do very quickly, where they feel comfortable. They're like, yeah, you're right. Like,
I can do
try
this.
to poke a hole in it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what did you say? What was the last thing?
You can try to poke a hole in the truth, but you can't. Like, and this is why they go, shoot, you're right. Like, I don't want to do this because I feel stupid, but you're giving me so much good reason why I need to that I almost can't deny myself why I should be doing this, because we have to move past the fear, and that's what all of us have to do is move past the fear of what other people think about what we're doing. And
well said.
It's huge. It's not just with dance. It's with our life. It's with our careers. It's with our artistic expressions. It's with anything. We're just so afraid of what other people are going to think about it that it stifles us.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting because I wonder what is on the other side of fear. Is it fun? Is it success? I mean, I love the way that you say that. Move beyond the fear and what other people think of us, and there's that whole other. I guess maybe it's the river that you're talking about. I just absolutely love that metaphor. It's so beautiful. And Misty, I know that we're getting close to the end of our show here, and I wanted to make sure that people know all about your websites, how to contact you, about all of your workshops and conferences. So, do you want me to read your websites, or do you want to tell everyone the whole spiel?
But it might be, because then I can let you know where to go for what information.
Okay.
If you're interested in DVDs, I have several series available. My latest one is, like you said, the Body Groove Delicious Dance, and that is available at www.bodygroove.com. My original series is available on my website, and that's MistyTripoli.com. My last name is spelled Tripoli. And you can also find lots of things. You can find information about me and the workshops that I do. I do travel around the world. I teach at big conventions, health, mind, body conventions. But then I also teach people. We call them the Groove Facilitator trainings, and I teach people how to teach these types of classes. But I also teach many different things. I do workshops on body image and workshops on meditation and those kinds of things. And I'll be in Toronto at the end of May for a week leading a whole series of workshops and lectures. And then I'll be off to Europe for about 3 or 4 weeks to do more there. And where else? Oh, and for information on the Groove Method, you can go to www.groovemethod.com and you can get all the information about the Groove Method and where to get trained and how to get trained and all the things that are going on with the Groove Method. And we have a Global Groove Foundation now where we go, we've got a group of our master trainers going to Kenya to help women and children with AIDS and working with them. Just lots of really cool stuff that we're doing. I also do a retreat every year
that's right.
in Mexico. It's called I Love Me Groove Retreat. And it's December 1st to the 10th. And it's in Tulum, Mexico, and it's exactly what it's called, I Love Me Groove Retreat. You basically get to love yourself stupid. Like I said, love the crap out of yourself for 10 days. And all the activities we do are to support and facilitate that happening. And in such a beautiful, magical place, it's awesome.
Sounds amazing. And just, Misty, I can't thank you enough. You have so many You're just an incredible person. You have so many amazing things going on, and the world's definitely a better place for you being in it and for coming into your own. And so I'm so grateful to know you, and thanks again for all of your words of wisdom. And if someone wants to contact you, is the best way to do that through MistyTripoli.com, or is there any other way? Okay, MistyTripoli.com.
MistyTripoli.com, yep.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for being here. I'm so grateful. And everyone definitely go check out all of Misty's sites. Again, she was mentioning bodygroove.com to check out her new DVD, Body Groove Delicious Dance. It's excellent. I've looked at the footage of it. It just looks like a blast. And then, Misty, you were also mentioning there's also the groovemethod.com if you want to check out more information. You actually have a new program coming out for kids, right, on the Groove Method. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's so great.
What we're doing with kids is amazing. My business partner and co-creator of the method, she's an expert with kids. And now, believe it or not, we're actually in now the public school systems in Canada where the kids get to groove I'm not sure if it's on a daily basis or every week they get to spend time grooving in it. They get to take care of their creativity and physical movement at the same time. It's awesome.
Fantastic. And just, Misty, I was just wondering if you could leave us with a little bit. So, what does, if this is not putting you too much on the spot, what does health really mean for you?
Ooh.
Or is that too big of a topic to cover?
No, it's not.
I'm
really
just wondering if you
topic.
have.
What health means to me is being totally okay with who you are mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Beautiful.
And whatever that means for each individual, but being okay with that and not looking outside of yourself to find yourself, to really go inside and you'll discover all those things and find your own true definition of health. And, of course, happiness is part of that, but it's so individualized.
Oh, that's perfect. That's just a great way to end the show. And again, I thank you so much for your time and for being here today. And thank you so much for everything that you brought into this world. And I will talk to you later.
Yes, thank you, Edie. It was my pleasure.
Thank you, Misty.
I hope to talk to you again. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love to have you back on again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. My
Bye-bye.
pleasure.
Thank
Bye.
you.